Hey mates, good to see you again at Shelter in the Storm with A Course in Miracles lesson 89. We are finishing off today in the text, section 1 of chapter 6, the message of the crucifixion. As you read the teachings of the apostles, remember that I told them myself that there was much they would understand later, because they were not wholly ready to follow me at the time. I do not want you to allow any fear to enter into the thought system toward which I am guiding you. I do not call for martyrs, but for teachers. No one is punished for sins, and the sons of God are not sinners. Any concept of punishment involves the projection of blame and reinforces the idea that blame is justified. The result is a lesson in blame. For all behavior teaches the beliefs that motivate it. The crucifixion was the result of clearly opposed thought systems, the perfect symbol of the conflict between the ego and the Son of God. This conflict seems just as real now, and its lessons must be learned now as well as then. I do not need gratitude, but you need to develop your weakened ability to be grateful, or you cannot appreciate God. He does not need your appreciation, but you do. You cannot love what you do not appreciate, for fear makes appreciation impossible. When you are afraid of what you are, you do not appreciate it, and will therefore reject it. As a result, you will teach rejection. The power of the sons of God is present all the time, because they were created as creators. Their influence on each other is without limit, and must be used for their joint salvation. Each one must learn to teach that all forms of rejection are meaningless. The separation is the notion of rejection. As long as you teach this, you will believe it. This is not as God thinks, and you must think as He thinks if you are to know Him again. Remember that the Holy Spirit is the communication link between God the Father and His separated sons. If you will listen to His voice, you will know that you cannot either be hurt or hurt, and that many need your blessing to help them hear this for themselves. When you perceive only this need in them, and do not respond to any other, you have learned of me, and will be eager. You'll be as eager to share your learning as I am. That completes part 1 of chapter 6, the message of the crucifixion. Let us move along with the lesson 89. We're still reviewing, and our review ideas for today are number 77, I am entitled to miracles. I am entitled to miracles because I am under no laws but God's. His laws release me from all grievances and replace them with miracles. And I would accept the miracles in place of the grievances, which are but illusions that hide the miracles beyond. Now I would accept only what the laws of God entitle me to have, and that I may use it on behalf of the function He has given me. You might use these suggestions for specific applications of this idea. Behind this is a miracle to which I am entitled. Let me not hold a grievance against you, Margaret, but offer you the miracle that belongs to you instead. Seen truly, this offers me a miracle. Lesson 77. Let miracles replace all grievances. By this idea do I unite my will with the Holy Spirit's and perceive them as one. By this idea do I accept my release from hell. Right. By this idea do I express my willingness to have all my illusions be replaced with truth, according to God's plan for my salvation. I would make no exceptions and no substitutes. I want all of heaven and only heaven, as God wills me to have. Useful specific forms for applying this idea would be: I would not hold this grievance apart from my salvation. Let our grievances be replaced by miracles, Margaret. Beyond this is the miracle by which all my grievances are replaced. I really like that last one. These are our review lessons for Lesson 89, number 77, I am entitled to miracles, and Lesson 78, let miracles replace all grievances. And Jesus' comments for Review 2, Part 9, are: You are blessed beings. Indeed, I am that one you know as Jesus. All of you know what a grievance living in your mind feels like. It is indeed hell. Everything fades away. If the grievance or the upset is a big one, you literally do not even see your surroundings. Excuse me, I have a bit of a cough. I'm just going to make this a practice reading. You might be driving your car and you go for several miles before you realize you have been in a fantasy in your mind. In a fight with somebody or an argument. Of course, you always win. When you see yourself always win an argument, you can determine from that fantasy, which you generate from your own mind, nobody else is there, just you, your mind, and your beliefs. You believe that to attack back and win an argument is your salvation. That is what that fantasy shows you. It shows you believe you have to win. You think the grievance is worth it because in the battle, the fantasy battle you have at times in your mind, you win and become the victor. It perpetuates separation when you witness your mind doing these kinds of things. We want you to interpret what truly goes on in your mind when you have a grievance and you regurgitate over and over scenes in your mind about that person. If you are in your ego mind at that time, you will say, well, no, that's what that person does. I am justified in this. I have seen them do this and they will do it again. That is how the ego justifies the fantasy in the mind. As a good student in A Course in Miracles, you realize that that image, that movie you watch, comes from no one but you. In that moment, nobody else is in the car or room with you. The scenario is purely a figment of your own imagination. and you participate in it because you want it. You want the battle. You want the fight. You want the grievance and you want to win. All you do is attack yourself now, instead of attacking the other being. Accept this is a belief you hold in your mind, that you somehow lose if you do not win the battle. If you give up the grievance, your ego says, you lost. But all you lose is the loss of peace. You lose the fantasy movies in your mind that entertain you and plant the seeds of war with that person. You get back to a place of peace, where you intentionally and consciously create a more loving relationship with that person. When you offer up a grievance with a particular person for healing, as you do in these lessons here, we want you to understand you only gain. You gain a happier future. You gain, therefore, less stress, which means a healthier experience within the body. Temporary and illusory as it is very real for you right now. You sow seeds that you get to harvest in the future because you act in love. Make sure you understand that grievances are hell-creating in the sense you lose your peace. Sometimes you actually lose your presence. And there is nothing worse in the world than a human to be deeply involved in a grievance because it is detrimental to all levels of your experience here. I am that one you know as Jesus, and we will speak to you tomorrow. Namaste, beautiful beings.